Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. No importa la hora que sea, siempre es un gran momento para aprender español con Profesor Pablo. All right, we're talking about direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns. You're going to learn by me going over all the examples. If I try to explain which is direct and which is indirect just through an explanation, it's going to be unclear to you. However, once we go through this cluster and go through this cluster, you're going to get a real good grip on the concept of when to use an indirect object pronoun and when to use a direct object pronoun. First of all, we have subject pronouns in Spanish, you know that. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, nosotras, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. We're not talking about subject pronouns. Put those out of your mind. These are the different pronouns that we have in Spanish. We have me, te, le, lo, la, nos, les, and los and las. And then you see we have the se here circled. Well, reflexive pronouns are going to use the se. And once we get down the road a little bit with this lesson on direct and indirect object pronouns, I'll show you how the le can be replaced by se and how the les here can be replaced by se in front of an object pronoun that begins with an L. But again, explaining that to you now, it's going to be like water off the back of a duck's back. It's just going to wash away. So let's look at our clusters. You're going to use the indirect object pronouns right here, the le and les versus the lo, la, los, and las. Now we know in red the me, te, and nos never changes, whether it's indirect, direct, or for that matter, a reflexive pronoun like in the verb lavarse, right? Me lavo, I get washed. Te lavas, you get washed. And nos lavamos, we get washed. The me, te, nos never changes, whether it's direct, indirect, or reflexive. So we just have to focus on when do we use le versus lo and la? When do we use les versus los and las? In all these instances here in purple, notice it's color coordinated. You're going to use the indirect object pronoun le or les. Who you talk to, you're going to use le or les, like I talk to her, le hablo. An indirect pronoun tells you to whom, for whom, on whom, or at whom something happens. To whom, for whom, on whom, or at whom. We'll see how that goes in a moment. But I talk to her would be le hablo. You don't want to say la hablo. That means I talk it. I talk her. You don't say I talk her to her. Le means to her, for her, on her, or at her. Almost every indirect object pronoun, le or les, is going to be referring to a person, right? But when we get to the direct object pronouns, the lo can refer to him, the la to her, but they can also refer to it. Likewise down here, this could be them, all guys or mixed group. Las could be all them, girls, or it could be them in terms of objects. So the le and the les basically refer to people. The lo, la, los, and las, the direct object pronouns, can refer to objects and people. We're going to find out that sometimes the le and les, in very few instances, can refer to an object. We'll get to that. So who you talk to, that's going to be a le or a les, because you talk to someone. You don't talk someone, you talk to someone. Remember, what does le translate to in English? To her or to him, for her or for him, on him or on her, at him or at her. Like I shout at her. Le grito. Okay? You don't say I shout her, I shout at her. Le grito. You can't say la grito. I shout it or I shout her. No, I shout at her. Le grito. So in translation, le means to her or to him, for him or for her, at him or at her, or on him or on her. For example, I put the jacket on him. Le pongo la chaqueta. What I'm putting is a direct object over here, the jacket. That's what I'm putting. That gets the direct action of the verb. The person upon whom I'm putting, on whom I'm putting, is the kid. Le pongo la chaqueta a Mario. I put Mario's jacket on. Who you give something, st something. Who you give something to. Okay, I give it to mom. Well, let's not go it to mom. Let's just say I give mom the flowers, right? I've got flowers. To whom do I give the flowers? To mom. Le doy las flores a mamá. Le doy. I give the flowers to her. However, you got to watch out. This is going to be tricky. You could say, I give her the flowers. I give her the flowers. But when you say her, you're essentially saying to her. So with the verb dar, remember, with the verb dar, to give, who you give something is going to be le or lace. We don't care about the me, te, and nos. That never changes. Who you give something is le or lace. What you give is the direct object. I'm going to step it up here. I give the flowers to mom. Le doy las flores a mamá. I put a mamá at the end to clarify that le at the beginning, because le can be to him or to her. So, le doy las flores a mamá. But what if I want to say, I give the flowers? Okay, the flowers would be replaced with las. So if I want to say I give them to her, well, we got to go indirect first and then direct. Think of an ID card. When you have two object pronouns together, the person goes first and then the object. Just like a fire in a house or a building. You're going to run in and get the people out, and then you go in and get the objects out, right? So remember that. People first, then the object. Think of an ID card. I for indirect, people, D for direct, object. So if I want to say I give them to her, I would say le to her, because that's indirect. Then the direct object pronoun for las flores would be las. So I would have le las doy a mamá. I give them to mom. However, Spanish does not allow two object pronouns together beginning with the letter L. If you have two object pronouns together, the le or the lace at the beginning has to switch to se. And you hear this. Those of you that speak Spanish or you're around Spanish, you'll hear, se la di, I gave it to him. And you wonder, where does that se come? Dar is not a reflexive verb. It's because you can't say le la di or le las di in the case of the flowers. I gave them to her would be se las di. Remember, the person to whom you give, that's going to be le or lace. Who you write to. What you write is a letter. That's your direct object pronoun. To whom you write, that's your indirect. I write to them. Les escribo. Right? I write to her. Le escribo. I write the letter. Escribo la carta. Right? La escribo is I write it. La escribo. I write it. Le escribo is I write to him or I write to her. How about if you're talking about la carta, how would you say I write it to her? Well, it would be to her first. Remember, indirect first, so it would be le. La replaces la carta, so it would be le la escribo. But we cannot have two object pronouns together in Spanish. The first one, which starts with an L, must change to se. So if you want to say, I write it to her, se la escribo. If you want to clarify the le, se la escribo a mamá. I write it to mom. I write it to the little girl. Se la escribo a la muchachita. Okay, who you explain to. Well, what you explain is the direct object, but to whom you explain it, that's the indirect object. So if you want to say, I explain it to her, would be se la explico. If la is referring to la razón, reason. So, le explico la razón. I explain the reason to her. If I want to get rid of la razón with a pronoun, it's going to be la. Then I would have le la explico, excuse me. Le la explico. So the le has to change to se la explico. Remember, the people you talk to, the people you give things to, the people that you explain to, the people that you show something, the people that you send something to, the people that you ask, the people for whom you open the door, all that is indirect object pronoun. Like opening the door, the direct object is the door. You're opening the door. For whom you open it is a person. That's the indirect object. You see? Okay, who you show something to. Enseñar. Enseñar is to show. How would you say, I show mom? Le enseño a mamá. Le enseño a mamá. Now, if you want to say what it is that you show her, let's say it's los papeles. Le enseño los papeles a mamá. I show the papers to mom. What you're showing her papers, that's your direct object. You want a direct object pronoun to replace los papeles, then you know it's going to be los. So then what do you have? I show them to mom. Le los enseño a mamá. Or, correctly, se los enseño a mamá. We're going to do another lesson. We'll have a lot of examples of double object pronouns. Who you send something to. You send a gift or a package or money, right? The person you send it to is going to be le or les. Who you ask. I ask mom, what do you ask her? Well, you ask her the question, the combination, the phone number. What you're asking is the phone number, the combination, right? The information. The person you're asking it of is the indirect. So whoever you ask for something, whether it's information or you ask someone to do something, it's going to be le or les. And of course, me, te, nos never change. Who you open the door for. Well, you don't open the person, you open the door, right? So, be le abro la puerta a la señora. I open the door for the lady. If you want to replace the direct object la puerta with an object pronoun, it's going to be la. So there you go. I open it for her. Le la abro. You can't have two object pronouns together beginning with L. It would be se la abro. I open it for her. Abracadabra. Let's see, where are we? Who you do a favor for. What you do is a favor. That's the direct object. The person for whom you do it is the indirect object. Like, I do favors for my sister. Le hago favores. Le, for my sister. Le hago favores a mi hermana. Le hago favores. Who you sing to. Okay? She sings to him every night. Todas las noches. Le canta una serenata. Le canta. The person you sing to, the person you write to, the person you give something, the person for whom you open the door. All of that is either le or les. And remember, if you replace the direct object, like I open the doors for her, and you want to replace las puertas, it would be las. I open the doors for her would be le las. Abro las puertas, but you got to change the le to se because you can't have two object pronouns beginning with L together. Who you babysit for. Well, you babysit kids. That's the direct object of the verb. I babysit kids. But for whom do you do it? I babysit kids for the Joneses. Les cuido los niños a los Joneses. Se los cuido a los Joneses. I take care of them, for the Joneses. Who you be, oh, this is great. People don't get this. Textbooks, I've never seen this gone over in a textbook. Okay, this is Pablo Spanish. This is learn Spanish fast, correctly, in its entirety with Profesor Pablo. So here, who you beat, the verb ganar is to win. You look it up in a dictionary, but it also means to beat. Like I beat you, you're playing checkers, or you're playing cards, or you're playing a traditional sports game like basketball or football or baseball or something. Who you beat is going to be le. Okay, if I want to say I beat him, le gané. I didn't beat him, I didn't win him. You know, people say, I'm going to win you or I won you. That's very incorrect grammar in English. And some people, that's modeled to them and that's how they learn it because that's how they've heard it. And it hasn't been corrected. But just like your car, if you're going down the road and you're a little crooked, you're going to go off to the side of the road, you got to have a correction. The same thing, if you're saying I won him or I won it, you can say I won it like I won a prize, but you can't win a person. This is not slavery. That's long gone. Okay, you can't win a person. So what you do is you win the game, you win the contest, you win the match. You can say gané el partido, but if you want to say who you beat, it's with the verb ganar and it's with le or les. Like I beat him, le gané. I beat them, les gané. You hear this all the time. We beat them after an NFL football game. Like the Rams beat the 49ers last weekend. It was a crazy game. I said we beat them. Les ganamos. If I want to say they beat us, it would be nos ganaron. But we know the me, te, and nos is never in question because that's the same pronoun no matter if it's indirect, direct, or reflexive. Pegar, to hit. This is just like ganar. Pegar means to hit. If you want to say I hit him, you would think, okay, the direct object, I hit him. Well, in Spanish, it's not done that way. It's kind of quirky. You're going to use le or les for the person that you hit. Like I hit her, le pegué. I hit them, les pegué. Why do you use the indirect pronoun when you hit the person directly? Well, in Spanish, you'd say like, I hit his eye. You'd say, le pegué el ojo. Le pegué el hombro. I hit his shoulder. What you technically hit was the eye that belonged to him, the shoulder that belonged to him. I hit his chest. Le pegué el pecho. Okay? Me pegó la nariz. He hit my nose. But me, no problem. Le pegué la nariz. I hit his nose. Some people will say le pegué en la nariz. Le pegué la nariz. Just remember, giving you a head start here. If you want to say who you beat in a game, in a contest, in a competition, it's le or les with the verb ganar. What you win is the game, the competition, the race, the match, the series, the playoffs, right? Whatever it is. But the person that you beat would be le or les. In sports, we beat them, les ganamos. Pegar, I hit him, would be le pegué. I hit her, le pegué. And I hit them, les pegué. All right, those are indirect object pronouns, right? To whom, for whom, on whom, or at whom something happens to. That's it. Now, let's look at some direct object pronouns. What you buy or what you sell. I bought a car. What did I buy? Car. It's direct. Compré un carro. I bought it. Lo compré. To sell. I sold a house. Vendí la casa. Replace la casa with la. I sold it. La vendí. We know that object pronouns can go in front of a conjugated verb. We learned that in a prior lesson. What you have and what you want. What you have. I don't have it. No lo tengo. Lo is referring to whatever it is. Keys, las llaves. I don't have them. No las tengo. Right? The books, los libros. I don't have them. No los tengo. Want. Whatever you want. Okay? Do you want it? Lo quieres. La quieres. Do you want them? Los quieres or las quieres. Who you know or who you call. You see an asterisk here. And I could have put an asterisk on another one down here. But you're going to find out in Spain, many times in standard Latin American Spanish, we use the lo or the la for him or her. But you'll find in Spain, whether it's indirect or direct, many times when you're talking about a person in Spain, they're going to stick with the le, whether it's indirect or direct. We're going to find an example here. Who you know. I know him would be lo conozco. I know her would be la conozco. But in Spain, they're going to go le conozco for both of them. Le conozco a la señora, le conozco al señor. That's okay. Remember, different is fine. Life is full of differences. Differences is the spice of life. Okay, who you call. Okay, I call him every day. Lo llamo todos los días. I call her in the morning, every morning. La llamo por la mañana todas las mañanas. But in Spain, you'll find people will use the le. Le llamo todos los días. I call him, I call her. What you read, what you watch, that's a direct object. I read the book, leo el libro. I read it, lo leo. I read the magazine, leo la revista. Let's get the direct object pronoun for la revista is la. I read it, la leo. There you go. I watch it, el programa would be lo, the object pronoun. I watch it, lo miro or lo veo. What you study or what you see. I study Spanish, lo estudio, okay? The reasons why something happens, whatever. Las razones, I study them. Las estudio. What you see, I see her a lot, la veo mucho. I see him a lot, lo veo mucho. I never see them, nunca los veo. I never see them, all girls, nunca las veo. You'll find out many Spaniards will use the les and the le for him, her, or them, right, when referring to people, like with the verb ser, with the verb ver. The bottom line is, if someone comes up to you and says, You say like, ¿ves a María mucho? Do you see Mary a lot? And they come back with, no, no le veo mucho. Well, you're going to get it. So what? They don't say no la veo, what you're used to. Different is good. Okay. Who you admire and who you respect. Okay. I admire John. It's not I admire to John, for John, on John, or at John. You don't say I admire to John. It's I admire John. That's a direct object. I admire him. Lo admiro. I admire Mrs. Garcia. La admiro. It's not I admire to Mrs. Garcia, for Mrs. Garcia, on Mrs. Garcia, or at Mrs. Garcia. It's I admire Mrs. Garcia. La admiro. I respect. La respeto. I respect him. Lo respeto. I respect them. Los respeto. I respect them, the girls. Las respeto. What you wash and what you clean. I wash the car. Lavo el carro. Let's replace it with a direct object pronoun. We're going to go with lo because it's el carro. I wash it every day. Lo lavo todos los días. Okay. The plates, I wash them in the evening. Los platos, I wash them in the evening. Los lavo por la noche. What you clean. Limpio la sala por la mañana. I clean the living room in the morning. La limpio por la mañana. I clean it in the morning. What you eat, what you drink. Los burritos. I eat burritos. Yo como los burritos. Los como todos los días. I eat them every day. Todos los días. What you drink. La cerveza. La tomo. I drink it. Who you love and who you hate. I love her. La amo. I love him. Lo amo. I love him. Lo quiero. I love her. La quiero mucho. Now, if it's just a friend, you can use quiero, as we know, for like. You'd say, like her, I like her. La quiero de amiga. De amiga. Just as a friend, de amiga solamente. But you're going to find the Spaniards that say le amo, les amo. Standard Latin American Spanish, it's going to be lo, la, los, and las. The verb to hate is an ugly verb, and I hate, to say I hate. But odio, odiar, is the verb to hate. Odio, if you want to say I hate him, lo odio. I hate her, la odio. I hate them, los odio. I hate them, if they're all female, las odio. Okay? And it could be an object. Final exams. Los exámenes finales, I hate them, los odio. Right? So there you go. So an indirect object pronoun, we're talking about all of these, me, te, le, nos, and les are the indirect. But we're focusing on le and les because the me, te, and nos, it's always going to be that. It's never going to change. There's no criteria. It's always the same. So le means to him, for him, on him, or at him. Same with her. And les means to them, for them, on them, or at them. It could also mean le could be to you, for you, on you, or at you in terms of usted. Like I'm giving the books to you, sir. Le doy los libros a usted, señor. The le could mean to you for usted there, right? Instead of te doy los libros would be to a friend, first name basis, I give you the books. Now we talked about, can le refer to something other than a person, an object? But how about on it? Okay, I put sugar on it. Le echo azúcar. I put coffee and cream in it. Le pongo or le echo café y crema. So to him, for him, on him, or at him. It could also be to it, for it, on it, or at it. Like I put gas in it every day, like a car that's a gas guzzler. Le echo gasolina todos los días. The le means in it. So that's the point I'm trying to make. So the indirects are the person to whom the action of the verb is happening, basically. And the direct object is receiving the direct action of the verb. Okay? All right. That's a lot to digest, right? That's a huge submarine sandwich with a salad on the side and a chocolate shake. That's a lot to digest in one meal. But go over it again, and we're going to come back and practice it. But now, hopefully, you're starting to put in that language learning module the difference between an indirect and a direct. you can generalize and say, well, lay and lace refer to people, and lo and la and los and las can refer to people or objects. Okay? Let's see what else. If you can answer the question to whom, for whom, on whom, or at whom with the verb, that's your indirect object. If you replace it with a pronoun, it's going to be lay or lace. If you ask the question what with the verb, like what do you read, what do you see, what do you study, who do you know, what do you eat, what do you drink, what do you wash, etc. All these, who do you admire, who do you respect? You ask that question what with the verb, then that's going to be your direct object. Those are generalizations, but they work pretty well here. All right, thank you very much. Big lesson. It's a lot to digest, but we're good. Okay, we'll come back and we'll hit this again and again and again. Okay, gracias mis amigos. Los quiero mucho. Tengan un super gran día. Cuídense mucho y tomen su agua. Gracias. Bye bye.